Do you remember the scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are talking about the differences between an American McDonald's and a McDonald's in France? They make the joke that you couldn't call a quarter pounder with cheese that in another country because they don't use the metric system. So I always thought it was funny, but I wondered, was it true? I now know that there are McDonald's in France and that they love them, and they call them McDo instead of McDonald's, and they've given them their own European twist to the atmosphere. I am taking global marketing here at AV Tech, and for a project we had to research an American institution that operates on a global level outside of America. So, mostly because of that scene, I chose to do some research on McDonald's in France. I've learned a lot about it, and it kind of makes me want to go. That way I can see firsthand the French atmosphere in a truly American institution. I'd also like to see some of the competitors and how they operate outside of the American borders. France is sometimes known for having an anti-American attitude towards things. They don't like the way things are cookie cutter, and you go into a McDonald's in California and you can go into a McDonald's in Florida and you're going to see the same menus, the same decorations, the same seating arrangements. It's cookie cutter. So they have taken McDonald's and have given them their own French atmosphere. In France, cafes are popular that are unique and one of a kind, not franchise owned. You go into a small bistro and it's completely different from the one down the block. So McDonald's has kind of given their French restaurants those atmospheres of being a one of a kind, unique French place. They are growing in popularity, maybe due to the fact that it's a unique thing with a little bit of the cookie cutter attitude. They call them McDo instead of calling it McDonald's. Kind of gives it a funkier sense, maybe. The restaurants, when you go in, are a little bit classier. They have fireplaces and brick walls, and instead of the bright red and yellow everywhere, they have more neutral colors. In France, it's not just McDonald's that's popular. There are other fast food or quick service restaurants that are popular. Ironically enough, one of the popular places is Quick. It is a European institution that is actually modeled after Burger King and McDonald's. Their logo features a character that has French fry hair, a lot like McDonald's old commercials with the Fry Kids. Uh, there are some other places that are American owned and operated that are doing well and thriving in France. There is Kentucky Fried Chicken, although, to be fair, they don't call it Kentucky Fried Chicken, they just call it KFC because it's not Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's French Fried Chicken. Pizza Hut is another restaurant that does really well in France. In France, they operate a little differently. They are right now having a big push for healthier meal options, so they make a big deal on their websites about how pizza can be good for you as long as you do healthy portion control. And another restaurant that is huge in America and huge everywhere else for that matter is Subway. Subway is the #1 quick service restaurant in the world, so if they're going to be #1, then they have to have a healthy presence in France as well as America. McDonald's is huge. It is growing in the United States, and it is growing even faster in Europe. There are McDonald's everywhere. In every country that you could think of, there's probably a McDonald's. The difference being that there's an American type of McDonald's and there's a French type of McDonald's. There's an Indian type of McDonald's. They take on the atmosphere of the country that they're in to fit in a little bit better. Fast food, quick service, it's something that has to be everywhere. Everywhere that there are people that work a 9-to-5 job, have an hour for lunch, you need places that you can go in quickly, get your food, eat it, and be back at work. That way you can function properly in the office. just as a little side note, I did do some research. I've looked at the French menu, and they do have a comparable sandwich to the Quarter Pounder with cheese, but it's actually just the Royale cheese.